This is Elan Jones. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, what's up to my subscribers? I hope you're having a good week. I want to ask you something. Have you seen this girl? Chances are you have. And today I'll be addressing her success, what it symbolizes, and why that would not be possible if it were strictly up to the Black community. A little bit about Jennelle. Jennelle Eliana is a biracial, Filipino and Ethiopian internet sensation that broke a record, earning over 1 million subscribers from her first 2 YouTube videos. She only has 5 videos total. She was endorsed by several other famous YouTubers, and she was very well received by the YouTube community. For the most part, people were happy about her success, but a minority of others became haters, conspiracy theorists, or they generally felt her success was unfair. As of right now, supportive fans are worried about her safety, actually, because her van was broken into, someone followed her to her parents' house, and someone also taped something on her car, which people are saying is a sex trafficking technique for kidnapping. So I hope she stays safe as well. Jennelle has a humble background. She is humble. She refurbished her van herself. She put effort into her work. She has a quirky vibe that appeals to a lot of people, and she's easy on the eyes. In my opinion, what's not to like? Now, why wouldn't the Black community support her? I have a few reasons, but before I get into them, I want to explain what they may be influenced by. Social comparisons. Social comparison theory is the idea that we determine our social and personal worth based on how we compare to others, whether better off or worse off. It was a theory created by a social psychologist in 1954, so this is before social media, but social media plays a big part in this today. Now, social comparison theory has a self-centered and competitive undertone to it. A common example describes people in a race of some sort. I don't think this is the natural order of the world, even though we've been programmed to think this way. In my opinion, only certain personalities think this way, even though this outlook is heavily ingrained within our culture. The average healthy adult thinks more along the lines of, I'm a good person with good work ethic. I'm doing the best I can. I'm happy with the work I'm able to do, and hopefully it can benefit society. So there are 3 comparisons: upward, downward, and similar. Comparing upward is when you compare yourself to someone else better off than you. Comparing upward takes self-confidence and humility. You admit others are better than you and that you aspire to be like them, or they inspire you to be better. They inspire you to be a better version of yourself. Your response to an upward comparison would generally be one of 2 things. You would either look for ways you can achieve similar results or get depressed or envious because you feel like you can't. Downward comparison is when you compare yourself to those worse off than you, generally to make you feel better about yourself and your capabilities. Similar comparisons is when you compare yourself to similar others. We do this when we need to know that we meet social norms and that we fit in with our peers. Again, if someone, an adult, is overly concerned with that, they may need to look into why. I personally don't care if I meet social norms. I think I spoke about this. And that I fit in with my peers. And there are others like me. I feel I've accomplished enough in this life so far. God willing, I can accomplish more in the future. But because of that, I'm comfortable with who I am, and I don't need to be like others. But I've also paid for that in a number of ways, especially as a woman thinking this way. I think it's a bit uncharacteristic of women to feel this way and to think this way. So I figure for other people, conformity is a form of protecting oneself or protection from that which I and people like me suffered from. So going further, let's use YouTube as an example. If I wanted to compare upward, I would compare my views and subscribers to that of an established YouTuber that may have thousands to millions. This comparison might make me feel jealous and bad about myself, or I might feel like I can be just as good as them, and it won't affect me negatively. It would give me the motivation to work harder to reach that goal or possibly surpass it. If I wanted to compare downward, I would compare my channel to someone who's been on YouTube a little longer than me, who has very little views and subscribers in comparison to mine. This would either boost my ego, which is referred to as contrast, or give me affinity towards the person, non-pitying compassion, and gratitude, which is referred to as assimilation. If I wanted to make a similar comparison, I would compare my channel to someone else's who has similar content, a similar audience, and who's maybe working with similar equipment, who's been on YouTube not too much longer than me, and also maybe someone who isn't on other social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, which would help with marketing. So now that that's broken down, let's see how this relates to Black people as a whole. Social comparisons look a little different in the Black community. Why is that? Well, there's many reasons why, but here's a few. First, amongst a few others, white people are Black people's upward comparisons. The clearest example of this is when you accuse, say, a Black woman of something, her first response is, "White women do it too." Who said anything about white women? People rarely say anything about white people when they're talking about you. White people are the status quo to them. And remember, you can have a healthy response to upward comparisons or an unhealthy one. And these people know that if they compare themselves to or are in competition with what is currently the status quo, they'll get their feelings hurt. So ultimately, to protect their ego, they reject the idea that anyone other than self is better. Generally, Black people struggle with upward comparisons because they're too prideful for that. Remember, you have to admit someone else is better than you. Or at least they pretend to have pride, because we know that the Black community has a self-esteem problem, has a bravado problem. So it's sort of a fake pride. Black people have been dehumanized for centuries, really long time, which naturally would damage self-esteem, which would affect one's pride. Now that we're free, we're looking for how to get self-esteem, how to restore our pride, how to boost our egos to make up for that. Everywhere, anywhere. But we're lost and disordered, and we do it in all the wrong ways, especially via hurting other Black people. Bullying, cowardice, displacement. These are all common things you see within our community. Black people's go-to interpersonal relations style is to bully and intimidate. That's why when we have a so-called discussion or a conversation about important Black issues, the panel is never an equal ratio. One group always outnumbers the other, thus giving them the upper hand, and they can dominate the conversation. Nevertheless, that type of intimidation doesn't work with white people, and Black people know that. So Black people don't try it with them. That's why they're going to talk about colorism until the end of time, by the way, never addressing the real root of that problem. I want to give a quick example. You know Ayana Fix My Life? Ayan Love? However you pronounce her name. Not trying to mock. I never knew how to pronounce her name. She uses subtle bullying and manipulation tactics on her guests, if anyone has also noticed. I'm not even saying that this is 100% true. This could just be my opinion based on how I interpret her behavior. But I said what I said. So this is the same dysfunctional stuff that Black mothers always get away with. She's a specific type of Black woman, the no nonsense, rough around the edges, you better respect me because I'm a strong Black woman type. Don't make me get my switch. And every Black person on that show cowers in her presence. She shames them, they break down, get emotional, start crying. Take note of how she looks too. Body type of a real, authentic, strong Black woman that commands respect. I'm terrible at accents. So in our matriarchal Black society, anybody who fits the schema of our strict, scary mothers, we will respond to like we did when we were children, submissively, shamefully, standing in the doorway looking stupid while she yells at you for 25 minutes straight, not saying nothing back, taking certain abuse, accepting certain unacceptable behavior. But yes, so she had a white European on her show who that character that she plays didn't work on. And because she didn't cower in Ayana's presence, the Black people in the comments called the woman slow, She doesn't understand what Ayana is saying. She's pretending not to understand. She's being smug. See, they hate us black people. They don't listen. No. Ayana's spell didn't work on the white woman. That's it. So, because of our feelings of powerlessness and worthlessness and our fear, the black community turns on itself and in the worst cases abuses weaker and more vulnerable people in the community who actually become our downward comparisons. And that's another reason why we struggle with upward comparisons and turn on each other. We don't have an opportunity to make legitimate downward comparisons to feel better about ourselves because we are the downward comparisons of the world. The world. And this describes ADOS more than anyone else. And here's where I'm going to say this is a struggle foreign blacks try to identify with, but they can't. We are their downward comparisons when it comes to things that matter, not swagger, but maybe socioeconomic status. And in my opinion, that's a stark example of privilege. The most privileged black people get to complain about things like colorism, hair, features, dating. Dating's important, but I'm talking about the more superficial things that they tend to focus on. When other blacks are focused on more pressing needs. So for these black people, this disempowered group, downward comparisons consists of anyone or anything that is powerless, vulnerable, and otherwise unprotected. People lower than them. This includes children, animals, minorities, and the disabled. And I want to put emphasis on the mentally disabled. Now, something about the mentally ill in the black community. We kick them when they're down. We know they have mental illness, but we bully them, take advantage of them, outcast them, publicly embarrass them, hold them accountable for bad behavior as if they are well. Absolutely no help or concern, just abuse. They become the laughingstock of the black community, and it's disgusting. You know when someone's not all right. Anybody who does this is absolutely pathetic. And these gossip channels doing these little biographies of mentally ill celebrities are throwing shade, trying to act like they're spreading awareness or they're concerned. What really happened to so-and-so? The real reason why so-and-so's life got out of control and they're suffering now, and it's entertaining. It's a form of gossip about the person, putting their mental deterioration and decline on display for the world to criticize and judge. It's despicable. Check out this video of Popra from one of Diddy's old reality TV shows. This goes way back. She's bullying Danger from the cast of For the Love of Ray J, who at that time was suffering from mental illness. The link is in the description also, and I want to encourage you to read the comments.
So I got Danger here from Love of Ray J, okay? And she came to my party, Stars for Haiti. I thought Girlfriend came out to support. And I'm a little concerned because you was my favorite on Love of Ray J. And now I'm meeting you in person, and I'm just wondering, like, are you really crazy?
I'm Creole Mexican. I'm not black.
No, crazy. Not Creole, crazy. Like, is everything okay?
I'm Creole Mexican. I'm not black.
So you equate,
I'm college educated.
so do you equate black
I have a
with
doctorate
crazy?
degree.
You do. And so why did you buy it? Why would they sell it to you? I mean, why would
From
they give it to you?
Harvard.
Oh my God. Okay, let's keep it real. So you working on your own reality show. What's it called?
Whatever the fuck I want it to be called. It's called.
So why are you here? You really here to start to like support Haiti, or you just here to like start shit?
Why would I be starting shit?
Because you don't answer any questions directly. You just keep talking. And you know everybody about to get you because of the stuff you've been saying about Ray J. Isn't that true?
Ray J is bisexual.
Hey, and you still saying that.
Yeah.
Did you really sleep with him? Did you sleep with him? Because you thought she was pregnant, right?
Good girls don't kiss and tell.
Okay, but you said that he was bisexual. So did you do it with a condom, or did you know he was bisexual beforehand or after?
Good girls don't kiss and tell.
You lying, because we just did a Blog Talk radio show with Milan, and you told it all.
With
and you was on
Danger.
Devin's Playground, and you told it all.
With Danger.
So now you're not telling it all.
Now you meet Monica, Popra.
No, you're still danger. I know who the hell you are. You still danger. So you got anything like to say to your fans and them up? Cause I ain't lying. I keep it real. And I'm telling you, like I was trying to be cool because you was up on stage and you wouldn't go, and everybody thought that was like an act that we playing. But I'm thinking like you really, really got some screws loose. Like is everything good? And I was all empathetic and feeling for you. But like, are you serious?
I'm very sober right now. I'm drinking water.
Yes, but I mean you act like that and you're sober.
Yep.
Boyfriend and girlfriends in here?
Why are you still up here talking shit?
Damn, okay.
Because it's my party, and I'm just telling
Boyfriend and girlfriend, where you at? Okay, that's the boyfriend.
Like a mature adult, or I will
Okay, you just happen to be out of jail, huh? You just
try me. I'm just telling you.
like
I was
Pelican
talking
Hill.
about act like a mature adult.
I'm free.
Okay, I'm just telling you.
That's good. Hold on, y'all
Fuck
make
on my face right now, dude.
What you gonna do?
Okay, cool.
You'll get knocked
You were on lockdown for a while, huh? So you're very
This ain't no
boisterous.
reality show.
That's what I'm talking
You
about.
never
White
will.
people, we're not.
Okay, so I have somebody
Kill you. You have
Why
no
don't you do it?
idea.
Why don't you do it?
I'm
Your girlfriend? How you doing?
I have that much power. I have secret
Oh, okay. Proud of
Yup.
her. You got just
I am psycho. Fucking crazy.
Guess what? That don't intimidate me.
Like fire, huh?
Guess what? Yes, and guess what, bitch? Guess what? And I'll burn down.
For the fellas that know what I'm talking about.
The fuck out.
White girls are black on the inside.
Okay.
Like Mexican girls are like guacamole on the inside. Yeah,
So, with all of that said, the Black community pretty much deals only with similar comparisons. They only support similars. They only associate with similars. Is there something wrong with that? Not necessarily. But in terms of this theory, we do this because it's the least threatening option. And now I can get into why Jennelle Eliana wouldn't be successful on Black YouTube in part 2